Hey there you lot, welcome back to Fat Gwen's Fish. I'm doing hello Henry, a cup of coffee start to my day. I had a big week at work and daylight savings kicking in this week and so on. I'm a little bit behind, it's Monday morning, so I'm just going to bang on the kettle and get this cuppa out, and then we'll get out to the shed and I'll show you what's happened this week. See you in a minute. Rightio, kettle's boiled, cuppa poured, a bit more, and we'll get out and see what's going on. Let's flip around. That's Percy having breakfast. This is the house that's a little bit untidy because I've got to do some clean up. We've got strange weather here this morning. We had a unusually warm day for Tassie yesterday, up to early 20s, but it blew up a bit deluxe with some rain and wind last night, so I'm expecting that the fish will be good this next week or so with breeding. Because of the wind, my bin's in the way, and in we go. Sorry for the husky throat, I'm a bit slow out of the gate this morning. Swig of coffee, and hopefully the camera doesn't fog. I probably shouldn't do this roving Brian style thing, maybe, but we'll see how we get on. This week I did some work rebooting some tanks here. The Basheri tank I did do the week before, and that's looking nice in there. We've got some fry we probably need to let out soon. There's a heap of tomato haps in that tumbler. I didn't feed my fish yesterday, so straight away the baby Basheris are a little bit front and centre because they want their breakfast. Excuse me folks, sorry for the coughing. I've got another couple of tumblers running here. The black katanas still going okay, maybe a couple of eggs that I need to fish out that haven't made it. The Tony eggs. What we ended up dropping into this tank as a reset or reboot, I had some albino princess in here for a long time that never produced any fish for me. What we have down the back there near the filter is a Neolamprologus walteri. I've got 6 of these in here thanks to my good mate Kev, and we're just waiting to see if some of them will pair up there. There's been 1 or 2 fish up in the corner, so I'm going to have to get some floating pipe in here and try and get them out. But beautiful little fish, and I've never bred these, so that's kind of a bucket list for me to tick off another species to produce. I should do a count one day on how many I think I've done and see how we go. This is a species of Julidochromis marleri. Strongly believe this is the Burundi collection point. So very similar to the Gombe, but not too much yellow in the sort of around the fins and head on these as compared to the Gombe. These had bred a long time ago, and then it all stalled out. We had some adults in here, and when I pulled this apart the other day, I've ripped out about 15 or 18 juveniles, which I'll look towards moving on and selling now. But I figured out why they hadn't sort of gone on to breed again. I found a albino bristlenose male in here that was about 12 centimetres long. So he because of the amount of rock I had in there, he'd managed to hide all those months, and I guess he was having a good feed of eggs every so often, so didn't have any breeding success going on. We did a reboot on the Lampologus similis tank. I didn't pull any babies out. When I say reboot, this really was just a good water change and resalting and so on, because I couldn't see what was going on. The glass was so green that I didn't know whether I had any breeding in there. There's a couple of babies in there maybe. Colony's nice and stable. It's just a fish that I've always struggled to produce in any numbers. I think because maybe the males are a bit more inclined to pick off other babies, and maybe this would be better if I could isolate a pair, but I just have not got to that level yet. I pulled apart the Daffodil Princess tank. I did a species feature on this a few months ago now, and at that stage the water change that I did to do that filming did lead to a spawn, and so I pulled out about 80 or 90 babies. I think there was sort of 75 of them were from the most recent spawn, and then there was about a dozen that were fish that I'd left the previous time. There's always the risk when you do that, like I like to leave some babies behind, and the risk being that if you take every last baby, I think that it can lead to a bit of a punch up. We've got Mum sitting there, and that's already looking better. A couple of days ago she was living under this little pile of oysters in the front right, so she's gradually making her way back to the good habitat down the back, and I'm sure it won't be much longer before they go again. I pulled down the multi-tank after a long time of not having done so. We've ripped sort of 30 or so out of this colony down to the for sale tank, and it's always interesting when you change the dynamic. Someone ends up the top, so that's probably a little male that hasn't found a bit of floor space footprint with a shell, but it's always kind of fun watching them reconfigure after a big deal, big upset to their equilibrium. I did manage to breed quite a few fish this week despite the busyness. In this box we've got a small number of Stenachromis horii. This is the Lake Tanganyika harem spawning thing that I can't wait for them to get a bit bigger. I want to do a proper species feature on the fish. They're just a super interesting Tanganyikan, and we've got them starting to produce, which is fantastic. I produced some more blue neon fry up there. Blue neon peacock, that is, the Stuart Grandy Undu Reef. We knocked out some more, where are we? Quite a heap of Eureka Red babies last week. So I'm producing them substantially well now. I got a food order in, which is always good. Not that exciting to look at, I guess, but I'm in the process of filming a little video about my thoughts on fish feeding, and maybe teach you something that's not just let them eat what they can eat in 5 minutes and that's it. There's a bit to consider, obviously, in the when you upscale to a big fish room like this. I'm hoping that we're going to improve the dynamic in my Frontosa tank. I've had a a subdominant male in here that's been getting clobbered for quite some time. I believe I'm very female heavy on the bigger fish, which is great. Thanks again, Alison. But what I've been trying to do is, as I often do, is get a second crack at a species. So the Fonnies are obviously the hero of this tank, but because the big male has been bombing that smaller male all this time, going from one end to the other, these Nagara flametail peacocks up here have been kind of just staying out of harm's way, and I want to get them breeding now, so that's already looking a lot more peaceful since the big boy went. My last sad little Exochromis anagenes here that unfortunately I lost my colony of at Christmas time. And the Ventralis mapimbuis are just kind of sitting there doing nothing as well. That's a frustrating thing for me that I really want to get happening. Have a quick look around the back here, and something that was exciting for me earlier in the week, I got into this tank which has our Lethrinops Gold Harbour monkey bays in. And I've only, as it turns out, I've got 4 females here, and all 4 had been holding. Now this, I could have got a better result if I had better eyesight. My eyesight always works against me with fish like this. We did manage to strip 2 females that had fully formed and free swimming fry, so they're up in this box now, and we're using the hook this time because I'm sick of these bloody boxes falling into the tanks. The other 2 Gold Harbours were pretty young eggs, and I've tumbled, and I think maybe one batch was really young, and it sort of, those eggs quickly cut down by about half, so I had a little bit of a wastage there. But just loving this tank. The little Calisa are really doing well. The Leptosomas up in the mid-water also. So this is just a nice tank, and good to get some Gold Harbour, excuse me, some Gold Harbours out. As mentioned, the Eureka Reds that we stripped. So this tank I went into and pulled about 3 female Eurekas out with eggs or with fry. So that was a good outcome. I was hoping to get we've got a thing called Calachromis plurispillis in here. It's a little sand sifter type tang. I think this might be one over here. Oh no, here we are. I made the mistake of putting these in under some Furcifer rishas, and at the moment they're all about the same size, so as soon as you net them they start looking similar, but once again my bad eyesight just slows me down a bit. Didn't get a result unfortunately, so I need to try and source a few more of them just to get it running well. And this was our this is the tank where the Stenachromis horii are, so we cleaned this up this time last week, and yeah, got 10 or 12 little bubbies, so I'll add them to the 7 I got the time before, and we'll gradually get this rolling. They're still very small. They need to get bigger than this to be pumping out some better numbers, but it's nice to have them started. I think that was kind of the key wins I had last week, so I'll leave it with you at that, and I'll go and dump this footage into the PC and splice it together and bippity boppity boom, and we'll see you again next time. Thanks for watching.